Welcome back to Kryptolytix, giving you a fresh take on crypto analytics. And this is your crypto recap, where I cover some of the things going on in the crypto space. So let's jump in. Okay, so here we are on the Bitcoin chart. Just going to quickly cover this. We're pretty much going sideways at the moment, nothing too crazy, essentially. Just really tracking sideways for the time being. And, if we have a look at the last time we maybe, entered one of these extended, not drawdown per se, but almost sideways. And you could say it's a drawdown if we're putting in our third wave on the Elliott wave. But, last time we got stuck in a range like this, it went for about 217 days. So, I mean, if it did this again, then it'd be October. So what's sell and man go away? Well, sell and man go away is come back in October, right? Because September, in terms of seasonality, September is usually a pretty bad month. And, the mid months in the year are generally pretty average as well. So, I mean, if we do the same thing, then we could just be like chopping around here and not really forming anything trend-wise for a while. So, I mean, it's something to potentially expect. But as I said in my last Bitcoin update video, in terms of seasonality, May overall has performed as one of the better months overall. But generally speaking, this is something we could be seeing. We could see an extended sort of drawdown period where we just kind of chop around in this area, or come down, then snap back up, and then sort of not really put any new all-time highs, potentially until October. And that works well with the sell and man go away sort of thesis, which does happen time and time again. But anyway, so that's kind of what we looked like last time. Another thing I noticed as well is, it's been a while since we've had any monthly closes that are red. So I don't think we'll spring back up to where we need to close this month in the green. But this will be the first red month since August of last year. So, I mean, Bitcoin's had a very impressive run, but that's pretty much where we're at now. And this will be the first red month in quite some time. But yeah, you can see that's the extended drawdown period I was talking about before, where we had just months of kind of just sideways, really. I mean, we went down. It's like a slow grind down, but yeah, we could be sort of doing the same sort of thing. This could be us right now, where maybe we get another pop up and, to try and take the all-time high again. And then, just continue on with the extended drawdown period. This is definitely a potential path we could take. At the moment, we're just kind of in this range, although we have broken down below it, but we got blue. So, as I said over here as well. But we're in this kind of tight range at the moment. I could probably bring this range down to like here, because you could see, we did that same sort of thing here. So at the moment on the short-term time frame, we're just kind of bouncing around a bit. That's pretty much it. And again, on the higher time frame, I'm going to look at the Stochastic RSI on the weekly. So this is actually shown on the daily. That's why it stepped like this. That extended drawdown period that we had, in that sort of mid-year phase, we did actually get all the way to the bottom. We're still at the top of the Stochastic RSI on the high time frame. So we had two sell signals. We came down about here. So let's have a look at the price action as well, while we look at the Stochastic RSI. So I'll just bring this up so it's half screen, so we can see the price action as well. I've also got a parabolic SAR on here and the TDSS 9s for tops and bottoms and stuff like that. But anyway, so this is that phase there where basically we put in two sell signals. It gets a blue signal when it crosses from down and above the oversold area, essentially. So this is overbought and this is oversold. If we did just kind of do the same thing as we did back in July, which is possible that we'll get that at some point, but we already have two sells here. And more often than not, when you get two sell signals in a row, although unless you're in a crazy trending market like this, where it's just like buy, and none of those were useful. Maybe in the short term, they may have been useful, but for the most part, not really. But anyway, you can see that at least here, this was actually a really good buying opportunity. So this is something that we might have to wait for some sort of Stochastic RSI reset before we sort of move to the upside. But you can see even here, for example, we had the two sell signals, overbought conditions, and then we sort of tracked down to not quite the mid-level, but we got pretty close, and then we came back up, and then that's when we had this next big run to the upside. So maybe we just come down to the mid-level, or maybe we come all the way down. Who knows, right? We don't really know what's going to happen, but for the most part, at least in the short term, this is, you've got confluence here. There's a bit of a breakdown here. You've got a TDSS 9 sell, which, happened here and here as well, which wouldn't have been the best if you sold there. But anyway, you want confluence, right? You want to combine different factors. So we've got two Stochastic RSI overbought condition sell signals, and we've got a breakdown of the PSAR, which we had here, which was a fake out. But here was pretty good, here was good, this buy was good, and this buy was good. So, I mean, not a holy grail strategy by any stretch of the imagination. And then the other thing we have is a bearish divergence here. So that's when the RSI is putting in lower highs and price is putting in higher highs. So that's just the bearish divergence there. So that's a higher high to here, but the RSI was lower. And we also had it here as well. So this high, and then the RSI was lower here, and the RSI high was lower there. So that's why I was putting in the bearish divergence there. And there was a brief hidden bullish divergence, which caused this run to the upside. But anyway, so I'd cover that one as well. And this is the chart I showed in the last video with the ABC pattern, which is still kind of on track. I mean, this is still a higher low, you know what I mean? So as in, this isn't broken structure yet. So if we start to break down below the 60K level, that's, I think, when we start seeing lower levels potentially, but we haven't really done that yet. We came up to the 21-day EMA here and the 50-day, which are together, which makes it a very strong resistance, unfortunately. But they're sitting right at the same point together. And we rejected off that essentially, and we've come back down to around the 64K level, roughly, as low as 62.5. And that was a liquidity pocket. There was actually a liquidation pocket right there as well. So that's one of the reasons why we came down to that level. But nevertheless, we still have some supports. We've got the 20-week EMA, and we've still got the 200 below and the average true range, plus the median line on this long-term regression channel. So, I mean, it's kind of mixed signals at the moment overall. I'm not seeing overly bullish price action. I'm not seeing overly bearish price action. To me, this is quite neutral, in my opinion. But nevertheless, this ABC corrective pattern still could very well be playing out because we haven't put in a lower low yet. Put in a lower high, but we're putting in a potentially higher low here as well. So that means we don't really have any confirmation on any particular direction here. Because if this springs back up here and breaks out above and holds at least like a 3-day or something like that above the 66K level, well, that's a higher low formation here, which means we could push very easily up to the 80K level. If May seasonality pans out, as I said in the last video, then there's a good chance that we go up to the 80-90K level for that sort of potential bullish May. And then we start our grind down for a proper correction. And that's when the stochastic RSIs reset. So this is something that could very well happen, but at this stage, we don't really have any confirmation. We're in very neutral territory as far as I can see. But overall, I think even if we do come down to the 52K level or whatever, like this kind of area where the 200-day moving averages and the average true range is, it's still bullish overall because we haven't broken the 50K structure here. So as long as we hold above 50K, we're all good. And those would be great buying opportunities, I would think. At least as far as I'm concerned, they are. Because anything that I see that's bearish, I actually am quite bullish on because I'm just like, oh, more buying opportunities, right? Discounts, get things cheaper. So overall, we're still in a very bullish sort of macro trend, but in the short term, just quite neutral. So let's get on with some news and updates. So we got Bitcoin, Runes seems to quieten down a bit. I mean, there's still a bit of trading going on, but this massive spike in the average transaction cost has come down quite significantly. So we're back down to sort of normal levels, which is good. And so that means that it's not costing, between $100 and $500 for a transaction on Bitcoin, which is ludicrous. But it seems to have reset, which is good, I think, for now. So we'll see how this sort of continues. And if it starts to spike up again, it would be probably because of some sort of rune that starts going viral on Twitter or something like that. And everyone starts to ape into it. But yeah, we'll just keep track of that because, I mean, the usability of the Bitcoin network is ideal, right? This is why I prefer the idea of building on something like L2s, and that's why I'm watching Zeus to see what they do about building Bitcoin DeFi and functionality on the Solana blockchain. I mean, that's a really cool concept. And we already have stacks and stuff like that, but I just think there's a lot more adoption in Solana. So it's a sort of place that if it was built right, we could see, some cool stuff happening on Bitcoin that won't bring down the L1, that won't bring down the Bitcoin network. Well, it didn't bring down the network, but it made it really expensive. So we've got a lot of crazy stuff going on in the US. We've got multiple SEC lawyers resigning after federal judge sanctioned the agency for false statements, abuse of power in a crypto case. I mean, this is sort of just the beginning. We've got the SEC planning to sue MetaMask for violating securities laws, and you got Consensus, which is the entity that operates MetaMask, is suing the SEC for being unlawful. There's this tip-tap going on, bit of a war between regulation and decentralization overall. But yeah, and then we had another victim. Well, the FBI actually So we had Samurai Wallet, which I actually mentioned in a recent video, but we had Samurai Wallet, which is a Bitcoin privacy wallet, was taken down by the FBI and a bunch of other entities as well. I think Europol and all that sort of stuff. So this was a wallet where you could anonymize your Bitcoin transactions. I had some funds sitting in there as well, and I actually can't get them out. So that's quite annoying. Those were funds I planned to move to Zeus as soon as that was working. I just tested this a few years ago, and that was just because I value my privacy. And well, you can restore your passphrase to something like Sparrow Wallet, for example. So you can restore your keys, but you need your passphrase as well. So if you're like me and you decided to back up your seed phrase and you've got that, but you don't know your password because you created it back in, I don't know, 2018 or something, I can't remember when I did it, then you cannot restore it. So they do have backup, so you can back up your Samurai Wallet and everything like that. So it backs up all the transactions and stuff like that. But yeah, this is the only sort of way you can do it now, is you can use Sparrow Wallet if you use this. I doubt anyone watching this actually used this wallet. But for me, I just, I've become less pedantic about privacy coins and stuff like that, and Bitcoin privacy and all that now. But back then I was all about, crypto privacy and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's unfortunate, and it's just another event that has taken my Bitcoin, which is super annoying. You got FTX, I had SOBTC losing its peg. I've got Bitcoin stuck in virus on Waves, which has lost its peg as well. And now this as well. So, I'm not without my flaws. I guarantee that what money I had in here, I haven't touched in years. So, and most of the money that I had in this wallet, I ended up bridging over to Solana anyway, but there's been no Bitcoin bridge to Solana since FTX collapsed. So this has basically just been sitting here waiting for the next bridge, which was Zeus. And now I can't do that. So it's 0.3 Bitcoin gone, but anyway, whatever. I'll probably still try to keep restoring this, but super annoying. Like, they're coming after us essentially, all the regulators and all that sort of stuff in the US. And I'm not enjoying the war, but I'm definitely a victim, if you will. So we got the FBI calling crypto money so they can arrest you for money laundering. Like, I don't think Bitcoin privacy is money laundering anyway, but whatever, call it what you will. IRS calls it property so they can tax you on capital gains, and US just proposed, or Biden just proposed, a 44% capital gains tax. I think it was on unrealized, right? Is that what it was, on unrealized gains, which is just insane. You got the SEC calling it a security so they can sue every exchange, and the CFTC calls it a commodity so you can't use it as a currency. This is just so confusing. The US is just ridiculous. This guy, yeah, we need a new and I think you need a new system, to be honest. But anyway, whatever. So anyway, let's move away from all the regulatory craziness. I think it's going to be an ongoing saga for a while. It has been for a while, and it's probably not doing the best for crypto's prices at the moment, but I don't think it's necessarily fundamental. I think a pullback was necessary for a while. We've been looking for that 4-wave on the Elliott wave theory pattern for a while. So this is just sort of like some news that people will attach to it. But, even during super bullish price action, you see regulatory stuff come out and it doesn't do anything to price. So this is why I'm more on board with technicals than fundamentals. But anyway, let's get on with it. So here's a breakdown on the mainland Chinese residents' ability to invest in Hong Kong ETFs for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So the current situation is, Chinese residents are still banned from being able to invest in crypto. There's still a ban on it, right? There's still a ban on it. Nothing's really changed there because China's quite controlling with capital flow, because they, this is one way they sort of protect their financial system, if you will. But there are predictions that there will be some sort of light unbanning. I'm not sure who that will come under, but there's definitely some speculation on potential future policy changes. There's no official indication of an upcoming crypto ban. And China, again, one of their big stances on regulating capital flow is, again, it's an economic preservation control. I suppose they've got like 50K withdrawal limits, for example, that's annual withdrawal limits and stuff like that. But there are potential loopholes as well for mainland residents that might be able to use it with residencies. Especially in like Guangdong, you've got a lot of people that live in Shenzhen, for example, or Guangzhou, or anywhere around there, Zhuhai, any of these sorts of places where they go to Hong Kong quite regularly might have residency permits. They're quite often letting mainland residents claim residency in Hong Kong. So this could be a way that they do it, is just by getting residency, because it's actually quite easy to get residency if you're a mainland Chinese citizen. So, because it's all the same place, right? Essentially, Hong Kong is part of China technically. It's just that they're a SAR, which is Special Administrative Region. So they have their own economic system or financial system. But yeah, that's just one thing as well. So yeah, there's talk of that crypto's banned still in China. Yes, that is true, but there's also speculation on some potential unbanning, and there's other loopholes that people, will be able to use as well. So that's coming on Monday. I think the first listings will start, or this week, I should say. The first listings will start, and we'll see what kind of capital flow we get into the ETFs for there. Probably won't be anywhere near as impressive as your BlackRock or Arbit shares or anything like that, but we'll probably hopefully see them populate into CoinGlass so we can keep track of them. Now, we've got a lot of longs opening up at the moment. So this is the liquidation heat map on Bitcoin, and we've got a decent pocket liquidity below at the moment, sort of building slowly. We'll go to the weekly so we can see what we're looking at, and still massive pocket of liquidity is at 67K, which is really not that far, let's be honest. It's only a few $1,000s away. All it would take is some decent bullish price moves to move to this area and take this liquidity. So depends though, if these positions cut, say like a break of structure, or if they see liquidity being taken here, then they might very well start to cut their positions well and truly before that. But a hunt is a hunt, and that still creates buying pressure. So there's still some liquidity below. If we move this to the V1 or Model 1, I should say, we can see quite a hot spot down here. And again, I will move this to symbol and 1 week so we can see the major points. Yeah, there's just a really hot point there. And it's still a little bit below at 62K. But again, as I said, we're in kind of neutral at the moment. We haven't really done anything. It is the weekend, admittedly, at the time of recording this, so I don't expect anything to create structure here or any indications here. But anyway, just thought I'd talk about the liquidity for a second and move on. So let's cover the Solana ecosystem and update. It's quite a bit in here, so hopefully I can fit it all into this video. So I'm going to move through this as fast as I can. So I did post on X when we were down here at this white trend line. I put here, I have serious doubts we get to the 80 level, which is a horizontal. So I'll show you the levels that I'm looking at the moment on the Sol chart. So here are my drawings only without any indicators. So essentially this is what I'm looking at. These are your diagonal trend lines and your horizontal support and resistances. So again, this was our diagonal here where we had what looked like a breakout and retest. I actually had a long in here and I cut it and switched to short now, which is essentially at break even again. Whatever, that's how these things go. I'll probably keep building my short as long as my strategy allows for it. But essentially at the moment, what I'm looking at is essentially Sol is still forming a higher low. So this was our low and this is our higher low. So that's essentially what I'm looking at the moment. And, the chances are at the moment, we've got this support here at 130, which acted perfectly. We got this trend line here, which again, these trend lines are very old, and I've got some bibs in here as well, but these are all measured from all the way back here. One is measuring tight to here, and that is the 170 level, which is also horizontal. And one is measuring just the bottom side here, so it's got more recency bias. And essentially that is exactly where we sprung off. And there's a horizontal there as well because of this order block. And you got this long-term level here, which is 115. And then we've got all the way back to last cycle at the 80 level. So I don't think we'll get to the 80 level. I have my doubts, but 115 could very well still be in play. If we just form a lower high here and we enter sort of some weird range here and break down, I think that's probably the 115 is where we come to next. But for the time being, this is being held and it seems to be okay overall. And these lower levels, 115, I'm going to deploy a lot of capital on Sol if it gets down there, because that's that's crazy. That 115 level, that would be great buying opportunity. Now let's switch to the indicator view on this. So this is basically my trade at the moment. So actually I had a pivot surge buy here is one of the reasons why I added to my long. But actually there was a stop loss there. This is on the Heikenaishi super trend strategy. We've got red trend meter, which is bearish, but we had one here as well during a sideways period. So it's not necessarily make or break, but last time we had an extended drawdown period, it was actually really, really good. So this is our extended drawdown period here, and if we zoom in, it was actually really good for preserving capital. But if you just trade which you don't, it's not a trading signal, it's just a confluence signal. Well, it would have been a loss eventually, but anyway, I don't really trade the trend meter. It's just some sort of, it just helps identify, what kind of trend we're in essentially. Now, the other thing as well as I saw is a hidden bearish divergence. So that means that, let's see where it's measured from. So it's measured from here on April 11, which is right here. So this is a higher local top, if you will, to here. So this is another local top. This is a local top. So the RSI was significantly higher here than it was here, which is a hidden bearish divergence, which is trend continuation. Now, technically we did get the trend continuation. Don't know if it'll keep playing out, but that's what a hidden bearish divergence is. So a hidden bearish divergence, we've also got trend meter on the red. I will add to my short position at the 21, because that's still a lower high if we get that. So I'm building a short here anyway. I mean, I've already got a short open, but I've got more here. And then if we just blast through this at 152, then I'll have to close my trade again and flip to long. But this is kind of typical when we reach the endpoints of trends. And that's, you know, we might not be in a trending market right now. We might be in a ranging market. So if I identify a ranging market, then I'm not going to trade any trend-based strategies. But nevertheless, you could see even here, which I didn't take these, thankfully, because I was, you know, overseas in Asia. But, you know, this short here, like, stopped out there, and then this long here went, you know, was a loss there. Thankfully for me, though, I just took this short, but I didn't take these other trades. So I guess I got lucky. But again, because we are at major supports, and we are between supports and resistances, these are areas where we can very well get stuck in choppy, weird price action because we're just bouncing between supports and resistances. When we're in kind of this like price discovery mode, these are nice trends because there's nothing really above. Like even when we're here, there was nothing really above to really contend with, maybe some horizontal levels from the previous cycle, but nothing with enough recency bias to really matter. Whereas now we've got the recency bias, we've got these moving averages, we've got the 50-day, 21-day above, we've got the support right now at 100-day, and then we got the 20-week and the 200-week below. So again, as we're in this sort of no man's land, if you will, we're potentially just going to bounce around and chop around for a little while until we pick a direction. So I'll probably add to my short there, but yeah, this long was definitely not successful, but that's fine because this short was really quite good. So anyway, that's what I'm looking at in the short term for Solana price action. So let's move on. We're also seeing the Solana dominance chart is breaking down its parabola. So that this was a parabolic line here and it's broken out of it, but it's still up 100% off the lows, which is crazy. But yeah, it's still sitting at around the 3% level. So decent amount of dominance in the Solana at the moment across the board. Now let's get into some new stuff and yeah, not worry so much about price action. So Visa dashboard shows that total stablecoins transaction size on Solana is the highest among all other blockchains. I mean, look at this. I don't know how many Visa USDC transactions are going through or stablecoin transactions are going through and for what, but I mean, this is still impressive. Nevertheless, we've got 140 million is actually the top side. So the last 30 days. So it's being used. It's definitely being used actually. So that's kind of cool. I don't know where Visa accepts your stable coins, but yeah, apparently it's happening and there's $140 million worth of transactions. So yeah, Solana's smashing it, but I guess they're just sort of doing a study, I suppose, because, you know, you've got also things like the Stripe co-founder with a demo going live accepting USDC payments on Solana, calls it a new crypto world due to its speed and low cost. So he appreciates the cheap transactions and the speed as well, really. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty bullish because Stripe is accepted at, you know, Walmart, Amazon, Apple, AliExpress, Google, Wayfair, Samsung. So I mean, this is huge, using stablecoins on Ethereum and Solana. So I think Solana will be the main choice because of the speed and the gas. Especially that's one of the reasons why in the video he showed using Solana because of the speed and also the fact that retailers would save a lot of money in fees by using Solana because, you know, banks charge an insane amount for fees compared to what the Solana gas is. But this is crazy. So Stripe in the US is on 739,000 active websites, or 56% total. Globally, they're used in 46 countries in 2.72 million websites. That's crazy. That's a crazy statistic right there. They did have support for Bitcoin payments for a short time, but they stopped in 2018. Anyway, it's more bullish stuff for Solana, that's for sure, because it's more attention, more eyes on us as well. So let's have a quick look at some narrative stuff. So I mean, we've got the real world asset narrative is definitely something that's gaining traction and attention. But I've got this big list here, which I'm not going to go into too much detail on because it will make the video go for too long. But anyway, so you know, we've got all these different sort of subcategories of RWAs. So I mean, this is something that, you know, I didn't actually realize Power Ledger was on Solana now, so that's interesting. I definitely know that Sourceful is, as this is for energy sharing and stuff like that, but Power Ledger's been around for ages. Didn't know it was available on Solana as well. I'm pretty sure this is just Solana stuff. But yeah, we're slowly seeing the RWAs building out on Solana. But anyway, if you are curious, you can pause the video and check out this list, but I'm going to move on because we've got a lot to get through. So we have some more Jupiter news. We had Jupiter acquiring the Ultimate Wallet because they want to build a wallet for Jupiter on Solana Mobile. So this is really, really cool. You go into a lot of details here, and they'll be sunsetting their app on the 22nd of May. And so because Jupiter will be deploying their own. But yeah, this is aimed at the Solana Mobile app that they're building at the moment, which is really, really cool. So, I mean, you could use Phantom and stuff like that, but I mean, they're working on stuff. Jupiter's just this team that they just ship so much. I mean, look at this. So Jupiter acquires Ultimate Wallet to build a Jupe mobile app. Maybe it's not actually a wallet per se, but they're actually just building the Jupe on top of it. So, I mean, they'll probably have a connection or all that sort of stuff as well, I'm guessing. But nevertheless, now with CeLO, you can track a Solana wallet to see limit and DCA orders and detail get alerts on NPNL for swaps made on Jupiter. That's kind of cool. And that's via Telegram, Discord, and their web app. You got StrikeX integrated Jupiter on the alpha build for StrikeX Wallet V2. So this is pretty cool. So, I mean, Jupiter's just gone nuts. They are, again, a team that is just building and building and building. Also, Jupiter is looking to get airdrops to people who had their wallets drained. So, I mean, this is a very common thing. I see a lot of posts more frequently. I thought it makes me paranoid every day. I check my wallet to make sure my money's still there. But yeah, it's just one of those things where they're actually looking to reallocating 1,000 plus airdrops to community members that had their wallets drained. So really, really nice. I think if you've come under this before, then, I guess you know what it's all about. And, I haven't had any of my Solana wallets drained before because I routinely go into my Phantom wallet and disconnect myself from sites that I haven't used in a while. And I recommend you do the same thing. Essentially what you do is you just come to here to these settings and go to connected apps and just go through and, just disconnect your wallet from things. This is just a test wallet, so there's not much connected to this, but you just come over here, for example, and click disconnect. That's it. And I would recommend you do this, relatively frequently, just in case any of these protocols are compromised. I mean, a lot of them, you can see what they can do, but when you first connect, but you need to check permissions as well when you're connecting to sites, because some sites ask for more than they should. And those are the ones that can compromise your wallet. Anyway, it's good to go and routinely clean this stuff up. Anyway, Jupiter looking after the community and especially people who have fallen victim to wallet drains. So it's really nice. And another thing that's been brought up is these MEV bots, which are costing people a lot in their swaps. So there's something called a sandwich attack. So the TLDR on how Jupiter Exchange protects you or is planning to protect you, because some of these are in the pipe, against sandwich attacks. So MEV bots are on the rise, and this is how Jupiter plans to thwart these. So first of all, how it splits trades across various markets to minimize price impact and reduce chance of getting sandwiched by MEV attackers. They're working on conservative auto slippage at the moment, which will hopefully just automatically adjust slippage depending on what you're trying to buy, which this will be good for low liquidity coins, especially like newly listed meme coins. They only use reputable RPCs, so that's like your Helios and all that sort of stuff, which hopefully minimize the risk of transaction leaks before they reach the blockchain. They're also going to put in UI protection, so which warns users excessively high slippage, which is generally, that's where your MEV bots come in. And they're hoping for tighter slippage on new tokens, and also maybe looking for direct to validated transactions. And there's another thing as well that I saw that they released, and this is a new feature called tipping via Jitto bundles. So essentially this will help users on Solana hide their transactions from searchers looking for MEV opportunities and minimize their losses to sandwich or MEV attacks. So you can see here, you go priority and Jitto only, and then you just put in a tip amount, and then you save the settings, and now every swap you do will hopefully be hidden from these MEV bots, because it's just bots that are doing it essentially. So anything we can do to prevent this hopefully will save us money in the long run, because some people are getting crazy high fees from these bots. So this is just another attack vector that, Jupiter, for example, is hoping to help mitigate. So let's move on. So the airdrop potential for Sanctum. So now this is just pie in the sky stuff at the moment, but I'm just looking at the comparison, for Jitto, for example. So Jitto Sol raised 12 million, which is pretty crazy from 2 funding rounds. It's quite a lot, actually. So Sanctum so far has raised about 6.1 million. So if they go about the same, sort of level of airdrop allocation, I suppose, compared to their raise, which I think the raise has a fairly large bearing also on the size of the airdrops as well. So that's how much money they got in their treasury. But essentially, that's about half, right? It's about half at the moment. Maybe they'll raise more in another funding round, but at the moment, they've got about 6.1. And if they do it the way Jitto did, maybe we'll get about half of that. So that would be pretty cool, but I'm pretty sure they want to do like a points farming thing, which is just the new meta. I would say, unfortunately, because I kind of liked with Jitto Sol, you just held Jitto Sol and then you got airdropped. That was really nice. But I'm pretty sure FP Lee, who's the developer, mentioned he liked the KMNO linear airdrop system, which is where you just farm points. So if it's KMNO style, then it's just going to be a slow grind with size. So anyway, at the moment, we don't have really much information. They're still developing their tokenomics and how they're going to go about their airdrop. But we'll find out more in the future. But I think, in terms of the size of the airdrop, it was quite big. So for example, Jitto Sol dropped me about 49, 41. I didn't have that much Sol. I think I only had like $1,200 worth of Jitto Sol at the time. And the all-time high price had it valued at $26,000, which is just insane. So that's just crazy. This is all the airdrops it says here Saga, but this is actually all Solana airdrops, because I did a post where I was just showing, you know, these are the ones for Saga here, which actually the Saga at one point was worth $779, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this is just what I've got so far from Solana airdrops. I mean, this is just insane, 85,000. I mean, that's at all-time high prices, obviously. The Wormhole, for example, is very far from its all-time high, but that was almost a 5-figure airdrop. And, you know, Pith was pretty generous so far. KMNO at the moment, that's nowhere near its all-time high as well. But nevertheless, I'm waiting for the next quarter for more Jupiter airdrops and stuff like that. But the whole Solana ecosystem's just been super generous with airdrops. So hopefully we see more generosity from the Sanctum team. But I guess it all depends on, you know, other factors as well. But they're still working on their tokenomics. Also, you know, a new LST was listed on Sanctum, a couple new LSTs actually, liquid stake tokens, and that's for Juicy Soul. And it actually has basket airdrops awarded to holders. So if you buy Juicy Soul and hold it for a limited time, they've got basket airdrops. Now, basket BSKT is a token that's like has underlying assets underneath it. So it's basically a index fund, like, you know, the S&P 500 sort of deal. Essentially, that's what basket is. So yeah, if you hold Juicy Soul, then you earn staking yields, MEV yields, and block rewards, plus priority fee kickbacks. So pretty cool. A lot of the LSTs have this stuff built in, but what they're offering is additional BSKT for a limited time. I'm pretty sure at the time of this recording that's still going. APY is about 9%. That's not bad. Not bad at all. So another LST to add to the list. I mean, the list is ever growing. Have a look here. So thriving Solana LST landscape is currently recording across approximately 3.2 billion in market cap value from a total of 20.5 million staked SOL. So that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Because of Sanctum, we're going to see a lot more of these sort of pop up. I mean, you got MSOL. JudoSol's actually taken over. That's really crazy. MSOL used to be the biggest LST. Now JudoSol's the biggest, which is fair enough. But you got MSOL, JudoSol, BSOL, and JupeSol are probably the top ones, I would say. And then the JSOL's been around for ages. I remember on Saber doing farming for this with an LP to Sol, just farming away. So this was back in 2021. This has been around for ages, or early 22, I'd say. But yeah, we're going to see a lot more of these come up. Bonk Sol's in the list now, Juicy Sol's here. People wanting to farm that basket, I guess. But yeah, we're seeing a very growing liquid stake token landscape. I think that it'd be something that someone would most likely be working on is a ARB bot or LSTs, because they lose their peg and then it snaps back in. But it's this one thing as well to consider when using this is when you're using LSTs is don't go so degen on, you know, for example, lending and borrowing and KMNO, for example. Reason why I say that is because you can get these big DPEGs. Now, those create opportunities for arbing, where you can buy one LST low and sell one high, like swap and then sell one high, you know, sort of deal. You can do these sort of arb plays on LSTs. But if you've got an LST in there and you're heavily borrowed against it and it loses its peg, then crazy stuff can happen. I mean, for example, have a look here. LST pegs, DPEGs are definitely run-of-the-mill, but you can get crazy stuff like this. So this is EZ-ETH or EZ-ETH, I guess it is, which is an LST for Ethereum. Look at this DPEG. This is absolutely insane, all the way down to $800. So this is the sort of thing that can happen. So if you've got, say for example, if you've got a massive borrow position against your Easy Sol, for example, and it does this, well, you're going to get liquidated, especially if your health factor is quite low, as in you've got a massive borrow against it. So just be really careful with going too degen and using LSTs as collateral, because this is the sort of thing that can happen. So just bear that in mind. But in terms of ARB opportunities, well, I mean, imagine buying ETH at $800. That's generational. We haven't seen those prices since the pandemic crash. So, you know, this is the sort of thing that can happen. And this is most likely just going to come back into its peg, and it did. So this is on DEX Screener. This is just on the daily chart. It's literally regained its peg. So if you're arbing this, that's great. But if you're using this as collateral, well, that's not so great. That's not so great. So anyway, this is the sort of thing that can happen. And you can see it regained its peg. Peg loss on a LST is run of the mill for sure. Anyway, so we've got HSOL now, which is the Helios staked Sol. So Helios Labs is, they are mainly an RPC, but they're also a validated client as well. Helios is the I think with the biggest RPC, I would say, on Solana. So they're a massive contributor to the ecosystem. They are not taking any fees, which is really cool. We don't have the estimated APY yet here, but let me have a quick look in a sec, see what it is. But Helios is a big contributor to the ecosystem. So again, this is potentially something worth doing. And I think I remember I was listening to the Lightspeed podcast, which is a Solana podcast, and Mert was talking about potentially point systems. So I would watch this. I don't know if Helios is going to come out with a token or what they would even do with it. But Mert did allude to potentially point systems. So there's no confirmation here. I have no inside information here, but he was talking to the Drift team and he was talking about point systems on Drift because it's something that he was looking at himself, and Mert runs or is part of the Helios team. So anyway, potentially something going on there, and I'm sure the yield is really good. People definitely getting into it, but still nothing on the APY at the moment, but I'm sure it'll be decent. So anyway, there's eyes here. I don't know what that means. Is this like more coming soon? I think Mert said it didn't really mean anything, but if this is the points, then, maybe, we don't know. Again, this is all speculation, so let's move on. So KMNO is coming very soon in a couple of days' time. Genesis is a key step to growing KMNO protocol, and they go into a deep dive on the tokenomics. So the initial distribution will be 10%, and in the initial community distribution will be 7.5%. So 10% of the token supply will be available at the Genesis, I'm pretty sure it is. And here is a breakdown of their tokenomics. So, community and grants 35%, and including the 7.5% Genesis distribution. Again, remember with these tokens, when they launch, they've got such low circulating supplies. That's why price action does such crazy stuff, because there's not a lot of tokens in circulation. And as it inflates over time with, token unlocks and all sorts of stuff like that, then that's when price becomes a lot more mature and starts, acting a little bit more normally. But in these early sort of stages, that's why token prices, when they launch, go so crazy. They can go crazy up or crazy down. I think KMNO most likely will have a bleed at the start. I do plan on shorting it. I plan on selling some of my KMNO, when it launches, as soon as I can claim it. But I'm definitely going to hold a moon bag, probably a third of my airdrop, and I will ride it down with a short, but on Drift. But yeah, we'll see how it goes anyway. With a lot of this stuff, it sort of bleeds out. If you look at the wormhole chart, it's been bleeding out for quite some time, and I think it's starting to form a bottom at the moment. It's sort of forming a base, if you will. See here. So this is wormhole. I mean, it dropped it at a high of 1.6, and then it's come all the way down here. I sold a little bit of my wormhole here, and I just rebought it back at 65 cents. Plus, I actually bought a little bit at 60 cents and 55 as well. So I've actually been buying wormhole. But anyway, this is the sort of thing that can happen. So I'm expecting something like this to happen. I mean, this is like 150% from the highs. So as in, if it was a short, that's what you would expect if you took a short on it. I don't recommend you do this as well. I'm a degen, so I do this sort of stuff. But anyway, I'm interested to see what they do with their governance token, because they'll have proposals and stuff like that. So I'm hoping if there's a proposal to move INF into the main pool, then that'll be good, because at the moment INF, which is the Sanctum LST for Solana, well, it's in the altcoin pool at the moment, which means that it's kind of useless even being in there. But anyway, we'll see what happens. It's coming very soon. So if you hold KMNO, then you'll get boosts to your points. So that'll increase points boosts. So if you're farming points for season 2 of the airdrops, then well, yeah, that's one way to boost your points, I suppose, just by holding their token. So yeah, we'll see what happens. There's more information you can read on their blogs and stuff like that. But anyway, that's coming in only a couple of days' time, so something to watch. Some more information on Ranger. Now, remember, this is a Perp-DEX aggregator, so it's like Jupiter, but for perpetual dexes, as in like derivatives trading, leverage trading, stuff like that. So really, really cool. We'll see what they do, but I'm definitely going to use this as soon as it's released, because more farming points. But also I like the idea of it. So it uses Zeta, Flash Trade, which is something I'm farming at the moment, which I covered in the last Solana video. Jupiter and Drift. No Mango, unfortunately, but Mango, doesn't have the liquidity, I think, at the moment. But also, yeah, Goose Effects, that's another one. So, and they've been around for ages. These guys are OGs. But, and then, we'll probably see some others get added to the list. Who knows what we'll see pop into this. Maybe Parcel will get integration. Who knows? So this will be like a one-stop shop where you go and you can basically trade across any of these Perp-DEXs essentially in the one place. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So you can see, what has the most liquidity, because that way you get, better fills. If you do a market order, for example, if it's not a lot of liquidity in the order book and you do a market order, then you get this crazy slippage and your entry price ends up being pretty bad, especially if you open up a pretty big position. Whereas if this routes to the best place for your trade, then, well, for starters, you're farming points on each different protocol. So Flash Trade will have points, and maybe there's more liquidity for a certain coin on Flash Trade. So it'll take it there and you can manage it from the same place. It's a cool concept. I think it's a cool concept. So definitely something to watch. And yeah, slowly dripping information out to us about all that sort of stuff. But I'm currently waiting for a early access to this protocol. So as soon as I get access to it, then I'll be able to show you what it looks like. But for now, I'm still waiting. So there's been a bit of talk about, you know, in terms of Perp-DEXs and stuff like that, in terms of doing maybe an app chain. So that's an L2 on Solana for these. And admittedly, app chains, you know, like for example, DYDX and all, app chains are specific chains designed, you know, that utilize other blockchains, essentially like ETH as an L2 or Solana as an L2 in this case, utilize another chain, but all the trades and everything that take place on the L2, and then they're fed into the L1 as a rollup. Now, Cindy, who is part of the Drift team, thinks that Perp-DEXs should live on integrated L1s, not isolated app chains. Now, she thinks that there's just only marginal performance trade-offs that are not worth taking away the security, guarantees, and shared native asset availability on L1s. Now, I was listening to her on the podcast, so I actually wanted to know more about what she means by this. Now, this is basically what she said. I just took this transcript, put it into Gemini, and told it to summarize into dot points for me. So, you know, that's why it looks like this. But everything being on a single chain in Solana avoids the needs for bridging. So essentially, if it's on an app chain, there'd need to be all these wrapped version of assets on the back end. Now, wrapped assets, again, you know, you can have problems with those as well. But essentially, bridging to another state could impact the cross-collateralization. What that means is that in Drift, you can put down Solana, MSOL, Jitto, Jupiter. You can put all these assets down and trade against them. So they all have their own loan-to-value amount or collateral weight. They all have their own collateral weight. So that's, you know, for example, Jup might only be, you know, if whatever the dollar value it is, you can trade maybe 80 or 70% of that. You know, USDC is 1-for-1. Solana might be 90 or 80%, so on and so forth. So with this cross-collateral, this is like kind of how FTX and stuff used to work. A lot of exchanges now you can just trade USDT, whereas FTX used to be able to put down all these assets and trade against them, which I really like. But nevertheless, essentially, if it was on a L2, then it would impact the cross-collateralization on Drift. So, I mean, I use the cross-collateralization. I'm literally trading against my Sol and MSOL and Jitto Sol at the moment in Drift. So, I mean, yeah, that's a big deal to me personally. So they might explore L2 rollups, so optimistic or ZK rollups for order book matching while keeping the assets on the L1. But the challenge is balancing the benefits of L1 and L2 without losing Solana's asset segregation advantage. So anyway, that's sort of her take essentially on app chains for Perp-DEXs. If you lose the benefit of cross-collateralization, then I prefer it being on the L1 personally. So I mentioned in the last video that I randomly got Switchboard Points and I didn't know where they came from because I tracked the airdrop checker. Now, Flexlend at the moment routes through Switchboard partners and pools that are already accruing orbs. You are collecting them as well. So that's where I guess I got these points from. So if you use Flexlend, then you might be getting points through Switchboard, which is another oracle similar to Pith. So I think the reason why MarginFi moved from Pith to Switchboard is because there was stale oracle prices, and this is a big issue with Perp-DEXs and even money markets and stuff as well. As during congestion periods, you can get stale oracle prices, either stale oracle prices or just straight wrong oracle prices, which is why people got liquidated in MarginFi because the LST in MarginFi lost its peg. But anyway, let's move on. All right, now, so this is for all the $1,000 calls for Solana, okay? Now, I love the idea of Solana going to $1,000. You know, it's sort of a target in my head that kind of made sense, but let's look at what Solana would have to be in order to hit the $1,000 price at its current circulating supply. So the market cap would have to be 500 billion, okay? That's a lot. Now let's look at $500 billion market cap compared to other things. So here we've got Nvidia Corporation, which is about between $300 and $500 billion market cap. TSM, $400 to $600 billion market cap. You know, the QQQ is between 500 billion and $1 trillion. So, I mean, this is what we're looking at and Visa, there you go. So there's payment rails, but this is what we're looking at when you're looking at these sorts of market caps. Man, I don't know if it's this cycle that we get to $1,000. I'm going to be honest, $500 maybe, but that's still $250 billion, which is insane. But anyway, I'm just saying, if you're talking about $1,000 Sol, then have a think about this. But, you know, we need proper adoption for this sort of thing to happen. And we've got to go through the regulatory wars before we get anywhere near that. But anyway, this is just one to, it's not a crush of hopes. I'm just saying, you know, $1,000 calls, you know, this is what you're going up against, which is just all TradFi. It could happen, very well could happen. And I think Solana's one that could do it, but I don't know about this cycle, maybe the next cycle. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up. I'm super bullish on Solana, but I'm just saying, you know, sandbag your expectations. So let's move on to Memecoin news. So this is the fun stuff. Wow, can be fun. Also can be not so fun. But if you're a Solana Saga 2 pre-order holder, then make sure you go over and claim your Woofy Inu with the wallet. You just come over to their X, and to get to the website so you could claim it, and then you just connect to your wallet and that you use for the pre-order, and then you get your tokens. So this is what I got. It's not really worth much at the moment, but nevertheless, more free stuff for Solana Saga 2 pre-order NFT holders. So there you go. And also Memecoin, which I actually covered in a couple of videos ago. I actually bought Memecoin, but I also have been airdropped it now too, was added to the Solana Saga list. So that's pretty good. Another thing, so I mean, you've got this tiny amount of dust for Cat with Hat. This was actually worth a bit more a while ago, but the price has come down significantly, same as Woofy, as I showed in that little spreadsheet before. But yeah, these are the two that are sort of running at the moment that are making the Saga potentially a free phone, but we'll have to see how they do in the long run. But as I said in the last Solana video, I think the cat season might be around the corner, so we'll see how these run. But yeah, I don't know if they're here to stay or if they'll just be like a pump and then a slow bleed and then maybe another pump and then a long bleed. We don't know. This is just kind of like how these price action works for these meme coins. But nevertheless, for a short period of time, Mew and Memecoin covered the cost of the Solana Saga 2. So for a short period of time, they were worth $459. But if everything that was dropped to the Solana Saga was at its all-time high, then it's worth about $780. But that's all pie in the sky and unlikely. But anyway, there you go. So at all-time highs, that's what everything was worth. So this IQ50 was actually worth $165 at one point, but as you saw before, it's not really worth that now. That's for sure. So let's continue on with Memecoin. So Memecoin is a really cool meme coin at the moment, and it actually flipped the market cap of Wen, which is a very big surprise. I think Wen's very undervalued, I suppose, but nevertheless, Memecoin has got a lot more attention on it, I suppose, at the moment. Whether it lasts, who knows? Because meme coins come and go, but it's been doing relatively well. I think when I called it, it was around here. So that's where I bought it, and it went up another 90, almost 100%, which is really cool, but it's doing its extended drawdown period, which is very typical of meme coins to do this, where it sort of has these nice trend, and then it breaks that trend to form a new trend, and now it's broken out of that and entering potentially a sideways accumulation phase. So, I mean, it's putting in higher lows, so this could be a spot to buy it if you want to buy it, but NFA, that's for sure. It is a meme coin, so it could do anything, right? But that was my call for Memecoin. And yeah, I saw that there's rumors it will be airdropped to Solana Saga 2 holders. Well, you can see it's quite clearly not rumored anymore. It's happened. But yeah, this is when I was talking about it, and you know, you saw that it broke out here and then went up for a bit. So we'll see how it goes, I suppose. Market cap's pretty low. It's at 156 million. So if we look on DEX Screener, because on DEX Screener you can show market cap. You know, if it gets to $1 billion market cap potential, it's potentially could get there to $1 billion, because, you know, that's not unheard of. That's about a 600% move to the upside. If it only gets to like an 800 million or something like that, doesn't quite get all the way to the top, still 500%. So that's what I think around the $800 million market cap is where I plan on selling at least the stuff that I bought. My airdrop I'll probably keep, but the airdrop that I bought is probably around there. I've actually got a limit order in Jupiter, so that'll just automatically sell into USDC as soon as that happens. So yeah, anyway, it's looking good so far. Also, we got this curve fractal, you know, like a good curve fractal. Essentially is what we're looking at. Mew did this. So Mew actually went up to $900 million market cap. So as I said, it's possible. And now if Memecoin does the same thing or goes to 800 million, then that's kind of what we could be looking at. So yeah, Curb's calling this as well. So, you know, bit of confluence, I suppose, which I always like. I think the thing I like the most about Memecoin is how good the artwork is. This looks so nice. I think that the artwork is just, look at this. This looks so good. They're doing like proper anime and stuff for it. This is epic. I don't know. I think it's epic. Anyway, I think this art is really, really cool. There you go. There's a bit of a potential breakout. So yeah, anyway, another cat coin that I mentioned is up as well. This is Michi. Now, again, these things can go up and then bleed for ages as well. Keep that in mind. But yeah, just popping off. It's up about 100% from my entry. Well, it was at the time of posting this. I think it's drawn down a bit since then. Actually, no, it hasn't. So yesterday it put in, wow, yeah, actually it almost went to 80 cents. So yeah, my buys on Michi were around here. So, I mean, it's like not up that much from my entry, but yeah, about 100% it was yesterday. But anyway, that's another one. And, you know, I see this has been mentioned as well a few times. Market cap on this is very low, very, very low. 35 million. So this is super degen. You get into this, but upside potential, if you look at market cap, say it goes to like 400 million or something like that, then that's like a 1000% move to the upside. Or if it gets about 500 million potentially, could go to 500 million. That's not too crazy. If there's a cat season, about a 1000% move, that's where I'm planning to sell this. It might keep going up, I don't care. I don't see memes as an investment. I see them as a trade. But anyway, pretty cool to see that it's starting to gain a little traction, I suppose. Now let's get on to the big dog, Bonk. Well, at least on the Solana anyway. So the Bonk DAO proposed to burn over $6.2 million worth of Bonk, which is crazy. So it's mostly voted for yes. I mean, it's kind of obvious that it would be a yes vote. So I bought my Bonk back that I sold here. So I sold my Bonk around, well, here, this is a PSAR, essentially, parabolic SAR on Bonk. And yeah, so I bought Bonk here, sold it there. You know, you've seen this before on previous videos. We've got a green trend. I was a bit careful of these big buy spikes though. A lot of time these big buy spikes on the volume can be reversal signals. So this here was a pretty big buy spike and nothing really to show for it. So don't know if that's a top signal, but something to worth considering is that often on things like Bonk, for example, you get these big volume spikes outside of the average, then they often are local tops. So that's not too crazy yet. But yeah, I think we need to see the rest of the market doing okay for Bonk to start doing well. But again, memes can do their own thing. But yeah, here was our local top signal there. And yeah, so nothing too crazy yet. It could be just like here, maybe we've got another run. It's a bit more fuel left in the tank. But nevertheless, I'm long on Bonk right now. But I will probably cut it if we don't hold up here. But that was the support there that I drew in ages ago. And look at that. Perfect wick right off there, and then reclaim this very nicely. If we look on the daily, we haven't broken out yet. So this is what I was trading, Bonk on the daily back here, but I moved to the 12-hour recently. And yeah, so I mean, that was still quite nice, but the 12-hour was much nicer, better entry, more chances to accumulate, and then better exit. So I moved to the 12-hour on this, and yeah, still looking okay, but we are on the weekend, so I wouldn't expect anything too crazy right now in terms of the Bonk price. But yeah, anyway, so I did cover Stonkspot in the last video, and so somehow Stonkspot took this trade and somehow it stopped out at a loss. So I don't know how this works. I think that it doesn't, and this is on Michi, right? So this was a Michi trade. It bought Michi, and then I just don't see where it could have stopped out. So I don't know if this beat here actually tells you the actual entries or whatever the AI entry is. But this is what it said that it bought, and somehow it stopped out. And I don't understand how. The only thing I can think of is that the signal came in and it couldn't buy because of low liquidity. And then maybe it bought, because this is what can happen, right? Maybe it bought here, but it kept the stop loss the same percentage amount. And so it came down and stopped out. That's the only thing I can think of. So this is the thing about these meme trading bots, is that you are dealing with low liquidity tokens. So that's when that sort of stuff can happen. But have a look at this. Oh, that's savage. I've got points for it, but yeah, this has not been doing too well. So the first two trades, which I showed in my last video, were good, and it was looking good. But yeah, it's also been buying a lot of Wen, which hasn't been performing very well at all, if I'm honest. And I just wish Wen had perps trading somewhere, because I've literally got a strategy. Look at this. This would be, how good would this be to trade? Like buy here, short here. I mean, this would have been not the best. No, not too bad though, not too bad. And then short here. I want perps for Wen. This strategy is so good. 60% win rate. Yeah, it looks all right. Anyway, there's no perps for Wen, so can't do anything about it. And I'm just holding my spot for Wen. I'm not actually trading it. This is what I'd be doing, but anyway, whatever. Can't have them all. Maybe with the drift token, we'll be able to vote for something like this in the DAO. So I mean, that would be pretty cool. Which, yeah, the drift token is coming out soon. I covered that in the last video, so I won't go into details on that now. But anyway, yeah, it bought Bowden, a little bit of Bowden. See how that's going right now. Oh, bearish trend meter up the top. Let's have a look. 1 day ago. So let's go to the 4-hour. It says its entry was at 52 cents. Well, we're now below that. Stop loss is at 45 cents. So 52 cents. Let's see. That's probably, it's 1 day ago. So it was here, around here. Anyway, look, one of the things with bots is you can get drawdown periods. I'm looking at this as a drawdown period at the moment. This definitely needs to build some sort of some extra information, because with the Stonkspot, you actually don't really know what your entries are, right? I mean, it's giving all these signals, right? It's giving all these signals, but it's not really taking many of them. And also, you know, you don't really know exactly when it took a position. Like, you don't know exactly what price it took the position at. Like, this definitely needs to build out more, right? I think they definitely need to build this out more, but that's only if it's successful. If it's not successful, then they probably won't build it out. Let's be honest, they probably will just kind of abandon the project. But anyway, I put 2 Sol in here right now. My balance is 0.4, but that's because it's got positions open at the moment. So anyway, so far not so good, but we'll see how it goes. I'm still testing it out. So Mad Lads, the floor price has gone crazy. So if you have a look at Tensor charts, Again, like if you held a Mad Lad over the last 6 months, you've made a lot of money from airdrops. A lot of money from airdrops. The airdrops from Mad Lads have been insane. Floor price is dropping on it for some reason. Though I don't know why people are selling their Mad Lads, but go over here on the daily, it's still at 89. That's what we got at the moment. So Mad Lads was worth 221 Sol at its high. That was back in December last year. And people are selling their Mad Lads, probably because most of the airdrops are done for Mad Lads. As in terms of ecosystem stuff, there's not that much coming up in terms of airdrops compared to what there was. I don't know. I guess a lot of people would have seen what kind of airdrops were coming for Mad Lads, and that's why it went up like 368% from its lows in November. But yeah, the floor price is coming down in this. Now, I don't have a Mad Lad. I don't really have any good NFTs. So I'm tempted to get one of these, but I mean, all the airdrops are kind of not done, but a lot of them are kind of done for now. So that's one of the reasons why this is happening, is people are maybe selling their Mad Lads for that, but can actually instant sell. It's pretty cool on Tensor Trade. So that's cool. But anyway, that's something that's happening at the moment. So if you have wanted a Mad Lad for a while, but you couldn't afford it, which is fair enough because it's a lot. Even at launch, it was 45 Sol, which is probably one of the reasons why I was like, when I looked at it, I was like, nah, that's a lot of Sol for something like an NFT. But it's made up for it, really, let's be honest, for the airdrops. But potentially an opportunity to get one if that's something that you want. Also, there was a new platform that I saw that they've built on the Saga. So this is they've got a DApp on the Solana mobile app store called Sol Media. So Sol Media is kind of like a YouTube on-chain. Pretty cool. I actually posted a video on there. Their community engagement's really good because literally I posted a video on there and my post got rated by the community, which is really cool. Someone's uploaded Dune to here. Literally watched Dune on here. I think there's probably a bit of a copyright infringement there. But yeah, if you want to watch Dune streamed, then you can go over here. I don't know how that's going to work. But anyway, I did upload a video to here to test it and it worked fine, looked good. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So anyway, we'll see how this builds out. But yeah, it uses Filecoin to store. So this might bloat Filecoin a bit, putting all these really long videos on here. Because I looked at another one and it had a 100 megabyte upload limit, which is not a lot. Probably good for shorts, but nothing really else. But yeah, these guys don't have a file limit at the moment, as in file size limit. So anyway, they're pretty cool. Something I thought I would mention. And lastly, for the Solana segment, we've got the Wormhole announced partnership for a tokenless Bitcoin L2. So this is called Mezzo. They partnered with Mezzo Network, Bitcoin L2, which is backed by Pantera Capital, so other angel investors like UDI. And they recently closed their initial raise of $21 million, quite a large raise. Potentially a good airdrop here, right? Again, we can't stake out Wormhole just yet, but it's something that potentially, so, you know, there's potentially a airdrop coming for Wormhole holders or W token holders. And as I said, I've been accumulating more W because there's a good chance that we might get airdrops in the future. But in terms of speculation, and in terms of actual confirmed stuff, is that they'll be giving 10 winners of W holders invitation codes to Mezzo. So you'll be able to get in early to the platform and use it, which again is another, you know, way of airdrop farming, is being an OG user or something. So this is something worth looking at, and potentially another airdrop for Wormhole holders. So something worth noting at the very least. Now let's quickly cover the injective ecosystem, and here's why you should be bullish on Black. Now I've still got my Black and I'm staking at the moment. We've got upcoming centralized exchange listings. What that means for token price, you know, can be quite arbitrary. But anyway, so you can stake your Black and earn INJ, which I showed in the last injective video. They are apparently the highest earning protocol on injective, so that's pretty cool. Arb Vault, I haven't seen the Arb Vaults, but I've seen the other vaults, right? And yeah, they're not a money market yet, but maybe that's something that's coming. But anyway, Black is building out, and holding the Black token does earn you injective, so something definitely worth noting. Now, also, let's get on to some stuff that's happening in other ecosystems. We've got the Sui tokens are now available to trade on BirdEye. So you can literally go over to BirdEye and you can see the Sui network there. You know, in terms of Sui, like, you know, there's some stuff really building out, right? There's some stuff really happening over there. So offline transactions is a really cool development. Hong Kong is quite bullish on Sui. I mean, Sui means water in Cantonese, like Sui, that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, OG Solana devs like Solend have built Suilend. You got the Steam Deck Sui gaming console. It's a lower circulating supply. Well, this is just a Mert post compared to Aptos. And they got a decent token unlock schedule. So, I mean, this is something to be bullish on. I do have a bit of a moon bag on Sui, but, you know, nevertheless, I like some of the stuff they're building on here. And now you can trade their tokens on BirdEye as well. So something worth watching. Also, I've mentioned Aether recently, which is a GPU sharing platform. And yeah, they've got more information on the airdrop, essentially. They have an airdrop campaign running until May the 12th, so something worth coming over and checking out if you're interested in the airdrop, or even if you're interested in buying the token. It is an ETH token, so just keep that in mind. But anyway, that's just something I thought I would quickly cover. And another thing as well is I'm not really seeing much happening over on Say. So I do have Say and I'm staking it at the moment. But I mean, it seems a bit quiet over there. We've got only 8 protocols on DeFi Llama and nothing really in the way of airdrop farms. I mean, I was looking into airdrop farms on Say and I haven't really seen much. So there might be some stuff, but you know, like on Lavana for points and all sorts of stuff like that. But nothing really that much going on over here. So I don't know. All the bullishness on Say, I'm still yet to see why. But again, I really need to see DeFi grow on a chain in order for me to be bullish on it. And so far, there's not a lot going on. So anyway, it does make me bearish on it, but I think that not a lot of developers, at least on DeFi Llama, there's probably stuff being developed, but in terms of, you know, what's available now, not a lot. So we'll have to really watch Say and see what they do and how they build out. But anyway, I think that's it. I think that's enough for today's video. So hopefully you liked it and you know, got some value out of this video. And if you did, then please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, and go follow me on X if you want all this alpha in real time, as all this stuff I post over there before I do a long form video on it. So anyway, keep safe out there. This is Kryptolytix signing out. Have a good one.